You see the name Cubana Chief Priest, but do you see the insane truth about how he makes his money? Because in this life, in order to truly enjoy life the way he does, you have to understand how he makes money and how he manages his wealth, so you can enjoy it. You also see Cubana Chief Priest pop up on your TL, especially with Davido, Flavor, Finno, Victor Osimhen, and more. This Nigerian isn't just a social media influencer. He is a businessman. But where do you think it all begins? And what do you think you can learn? The rise. Did you know? Before Cubana Chief Priest became a symbol of Nigerian luxury, before the champagne towers and celebrity circles, and before the trends, he was simply born, Pascal Chibuike Okechukwu, on April 2nd, 1981, in Umuhu, Okarbiya, in the Orsu local government area of Imo State, Nigeria. Although born in Imo State, he was raised in Abia State, where he worked as a shoemaker alongside his father before finding success. Do you know what he learned? He learned that influence is a currency long before it becomes money. And if you can understand people, you can master how to take and create opportunities. So what does that tell you? It tells you he didn't begin with wealth. It began with observation. Growing up, he watched how people responded to status, how crowds moved towards confidence, and how the right environment could turn an ordinary night into a memory people would pay to relive. While others saw nightlife as entertainment, he saw it as an economic engine, a place where human behavior, desire, ego, and aspiration collided, a place where money moved fast and loyalty moved even faster. So, when he entered the hospitality world in Owerri, how do you think he started? Well, he didn't walk in as a businessman. He walked in as a student. He studied how tables were sold, how VIPs were treated, how alcohol brands negotiated visibility, and how the right host could turn a quiet night into a sold-out event. He learned that nightlife wasn't about drinks, it was about psychology. People weren't paying for bottles. They were paying for identity, for recognition, for the feeling of being seen. This understanding became his advantage. So when he joined Cubana Group, he didn't just manage operations. He engineered experiences. He turned hospitality into theater. He made every guest feel like the main character. And in a country where nightlife is deeply tied to culture, music, and celebration, he positioned himself at the center of it all. Artists, footballers, influencers, and politicians, they didn't just come to the club. They came to him. And that's when the shift happened. He realized that influence wasn't something you waited for. It was something you built. So he crafted a persona, bold, loud, and unforgettable. The red outfits, the lion prints, the gold chains, the energy. It wasn't random. It was branding. A visual identity that made him instantly recognizable in any room, any photo, and in any video. In a world fighting for attention, he made himself impossible to ignore. But behind the showmanship was strategy. He used his growing visibility to negotiate better deals, attract bigger artists, and elevate the Cubana brand. He understood that the more people talked about him, the more they talked about the business. And the more they talked about the business, the more money flowed through the doors. His rise wasn't luck, it was leverage. He leveraged relationships. He leveraged culture. He leveraged visibility. He leveraged the psychology of status. And as his influence grew, so did his opportunities. Endorsements began to roll in. Brands wanted his face, his voice, his energy. He became a connector, someone who could bring crowds, attention, and credibility. And in Nigeria, where influence can open doors faster than capital, he used that power to build his own ventures, Shrine, De Angels, and other hospitality businesses that carried his signature style. By the time the world started calling him Cubana Chief Priest, the rise was already complete. He had transformed himself from a manager into a brand, from a brand into a businessman, and from a businessman into a cultural force. His story isn't about nightlife, but it is about understanding people and turning that understanding into wealth. But with every success comes challenges. And what do you think are the challenges he went through? Because to even get an opportunity to work with Cubana Group, there are challenges throughout. The challenges. Let's take a step back. As you know, every success story has a beginning. And even your own success story has a beginning, which also has challenges. For Cubana Chief Priest, the first challenge he faced wasn't fame, nightlife, or business. It was survival. Working as a shoemaker with his father in Aba wasn't glamorous. It wasn't loud. It wasn't trending. But it taught him discipline, humility, and the reality that nobody is coming to save you. If you want a better life, you build it with your own hands. Before we can continue, I have one question, and that is, can you relate? Can you relate to coming from humble beginnings? Now, let's continue. Vision is expensive, especially a massive vision. So, his second challenge was convincing people that he was meant for more than shoemaking. In a place where dreams are often dismissed, he had to fight the quiet battle of believing in himself long before anyone else did. That internal war, the war between who you are and who you want to become, is a challenge most people never win, especially when you come from a low-income background. As where is the opportunity? Where do you even start to gain access? Because how do you go from Aba to Owerri? How do you go from shoemaker to hospitality apprentice? How do you get close enough to someone like Cubana to even be considered to work for Cubana Group? Nothing about that journey has been easy. So what Cubana Chief Priest had to do was prove he wasn't just another young man chasing nightlife excitement. He had to show he understood people, energy, and business. He had to demonstrate that he could bring value before he could ever ask for an opportunity. And in an industry built on trust, reputation, and results, earning a place under Cubana was one of the hardest challenges of his early career. So he had to meet Cubana to show his potential. That in itself is a challenge. To be bold enough to position yourself for the assist. The rest is history, as they say. But even after joining Cubana Group, the challenges didn't stop. Now, he had to earn credibility. Nightlife is unforgiving. If you can't pull crowds, you're useless. If you can't create energy, you're invisible. If you can't deliver results, you're replaceable. He had to fight for relevance every night. He had to build a persona strong enough to stand out. He had to become someone people wanted to see. And then came the challenge of fame. Being friends with Davido, Flavor, Finno, and Victor Osimhen didn't just bring attention, it brought pressure. The world watches you differently. Every move is judged. Every mistake is amplified. Every success is questioned. Fame is not a reward. It is a test. And finally, the challenge that breaks most people does starting his own businesses. Leaving Cubana Group meant leaving comfort, structure, and guaranteed visibility. Building Shrine, De Angels, and his other ventures meant risking everything he had built. But he faced every challenge with the same mindset: bet on yourself or remain ordinary. Still building his own businesses and maintaining as well as expanding means he continues to face challenges. So with every challenge, he had to have strategies in place. Do you know what strategies he used and still uses? The turning point. Before you understand what strategies he used, it's important to know and pinpoint exactly what were the turning points for Cubana Chief Priest to become as wealthy as he is today. Every great story has a moment where everything changes, including your own, which leads to a moment where the path ahead becomes clearer, sharper, and more dangerous. For Cubana Chief Priest, that moment didn't happen in a club or on social media or a link up with a celebrity. It happened the day he realized that influence wasn't just something he admired, it was something he could build. So what do you think the first turning point was? Well, the first turning point came when he left Aba for Owerri. That decision alone separated him from millions who never leave their comfort zone. No matter where you are in the world, don't you feel like sometimes being uncomfortable isn't an easy thing? It is better to be comfortable. But Cubana Chief Priest did the brave thing. As Owerri wasn't just a new city. It was a new ecosystem: nightlife, hospitality, culture, money, and opportunity, all colliding in one place. And stepping into that world meant stepping into a future he had to create from scratch. The second turning point came when he met Cubana. Not by luck, not by chance, but by positioning. He understood that proximity to power is one of the greatest accelerators of success. Meeting Cubana wasn't just an introduction, it was an audition. And he treated it like one. He showed hunger, and he showed desire. He showed understanding. He showed value. That moment opened the door to Cubana Group, and with it, a new chapter of his life. Let's take a moment to reflect. Are you brave enough to be this level of bold for your life and career? The third turning point came inside Cubana Group itself. He realized he wasn't just good at hospitality, he was exceptional at it. He could read crowds. He could command energy. He could turn an ordinary night into a cultural event. And when he saw how people responded to him, he understood something critical. He wasn't just part of the brand, he was becoming the brand. Once you know the value you bring, and there is evidence, that's when the game changes. So, if I were you, I would be like Cubana Chief Priest and pay attention to what value you are bringing to whatever you are doing right now. That aligns with whatever your goals are. The fourth turning point came with fame. When Davido embraced him publicly, when artists and footballers gravitated toward him, when his name started trending, he realized influence had become his new currency. Fame didn't just elevate him, it validated him. It gave him leverage. And leverage is the foundation of wealth. This is why you see Cubana Chief Priest literally everywhere with Davido. They are like 5 and 6. But the major turning point, the one that defined everything, was leaving Cubana Group. Walking away from a powerful brand is one of the hardest decisions any rising figure can make. But he understood a truth most people never learn. You cannot build your own empire while standing in another man's shadow. Well, you can, but with Cubana Chief Priest's vision, he had to step away so he could have room to grow exponentially. Starting Shrine, Day Angels, and his other ventures wasn't just business expansion. It was identity expansion. It was the moment he stopped being a chapter in someone else's story and became the author of his own. These turning points didn't just change his life. They changed his trajectory and his earning power forever. So, now tell me, which turning point can you relate to? And are you ready to learn the strategies that help with his turning points? The strategies. For you to understand the strategies behind Cubana Chief Priest's wealth, you must remember that all of these strategies are 100% applicable no matter what sector or industry you aim to be in. Because nothing about his success is accidental. Everything is engineered. Everything is intentional. Everything is built on principles that anyone can learn, but very few ever apply. The first strategy was mastering how human behaviors work. He understood early that people don't pay for just products, they pay for feelings. In nightlife, people pay for recognition, status, belonging, and identity. So he positioned himself as the person who could deliver those feelings consistently. He didn't sell bottles. He sold experiences. He sold energy. He sold the feeling of being important. That's why people kept coming back. Think about it. Have you heard about the Wolf of Wall Street? Well, towards the end, there was a sales technique that Jordan Belfort used. And that was, sell me this pen. How would you sell the pen? The clue is in the strategy Cubana Chief Priest uses. So this is why his wealth compounds exponentially, because nightlife in Nigeria alone is an experience that even flourishes even outside of Dirty December. The second strategy was building a magnetic personal brand. The red outfits, the lion prints, the gold chains, the loud personality, none of them were random. It was branding. He made himself unforgettable. In a crowded industry, he became the signal in the noise. And when your brand becomes bigger than the business you work for, you gain leverage. Leverage brings money. This wasn't just any type of IP branding. Because he remains visible, so does he his sense of style, which derives from his Igbo culture. The third strategy was proximity to power. He aligned himself with people who had influence, such as Obi Cubana, Davido, top artists, footballers, politicians, and cultural figures. Not for clout, but for access. Access to networks. Access to opportunities. Access to visibility. In Nigeria, relationships are currency. And he built a portfolio of relationships that multiplied his earning power. The Obi Cubana link-up really was a major strategy because he became an apprentice. He basically was under the Igbo apprenticeship system. One could say similar to the movie Afamefuna, a Noir Boy story, released in late 2023. The fourth strategy was turning fame into revenue streams. Most people trend and fade. He stays trending and monetizing from it. Endorsements, brand deals, paid appearances, and ambassador roles, he turns attention into income. Every time he appears with Davido, every time he trends, every time he goes viral, he converts visibility into business. Fame wasn't the goal. Fame was the tool. The fifth strategy was owning the platform, not just performing on it. Leaving Cubana Group wasn't rebellion. It was evolution. He understood that true wealth comes from ownership. So he built Shrine, Day Angels, and other ventures that carried his identity. He didn't just want to host events. He wanted to own the venues. He wanted to own the ecosystem. When you have a vision like this, you have no choice but to follow what your calling is. Do you agree? Or what are your thoughts? And the final strategy, the one most people overlook, is consistency. He shows up. He stays visible. He stays relevant. He stays connected. He stays active. In a world where attention fades fast, consistency is a superpower. Every time he is visible, no matter what he does. It's all PR. These strategies didn't just make him wealthy. They made him unstoppable. Now that you know the strategies, what strategies can you apply right now? And most importantly, let's find out the key lessons that you can immediately learn and apply. Now, these key lessons, once you understand them, you will be able to open new doors of success. And who knows, maybe you'll have similar or better success and more wealth than Cubana Chief Priest. So let's get to the first lesson, which is your environment shapes your earning power. Leaving Aba for Owerri wasn't just relocation, it was elevation. He placed himself in a city where nightlife, culture, and opportunity collided. The lesson is simple. If your environment doesn't match your ambition will suffocate. Sometimes, the biggest move you can make is changing where your location, no matter what resources you have or may not have. With enough willpower, you'll find a way. The second lesson is that proximity is leverage. Meeting OB Cubana wasn't luck. It was positioning. He understood that being close to the right person can accelerate your growth faster than years of effort alone. In business, proximity gives you access, mentorship, credibility, and opportunities. The right relationship can change your entire trajectory. Have you ever heard the saying, luck is when opportunity meets preparation? Well, this is it. Cubana Chief Priest prepared himself to get to this point. So what are you doing to prepare yourself? The third lesson is identity is currency. His brand, the outfits, the energy, and the presence wasn't decoration. It was differentiation. In a world full of noise, people remember what stands out. Your identity is your marketing. Your consistency is your billboard. Your uniqueness is your advantage, even if it's part of the culture you are from. Being yourself is fundamental. No one can wear clothes the way you wear it. And so, what do you think? What is your own unique sense of style? The fourth lesson is that attention must be monetized, not admired. Most people chase fame for validation. He used fame for negotiation. Every trend, every viral moment, every appearance became a business opportunity. The lesson is clear. Attention is only valuable when you convert it into income, influence, or ownership. How do you leverage your attention? The fifth lesson is that ownership is the final stage of success. Working for Cubana Group gave him experience. Leaving Cubana Group gave him freedom. True wealth comes from owning the platform, not performing on it. If you don't own, you're limited. If you do not own, you're limitless. Even when you own, you still have to use your experience gained to be able to build, maintain, and grow. And the final lesson, the one that separates winners from watchers, is consistency compounds. He didn't blow up overnight. He showed up every day. He stayed visible. He stayed active. He stayed relevant. Consistency is the quiet force behind every loud success. This is something you should not overlook. One event, even if it's a viral moment, is okay, but what's more greater is to be able to gain wealth over time. Because that is when you see patterns and you are able to follow them. These insights aren't just Cubana Chief Priest lessons, but they're lessons you can apply immediately in your career, in your business, in your life. Now that you understand these lessons, it's time to know, which of these lessons will you be applying first? Before you choose what will be the first lesson you apply, let's get a recap so you can make a wise, life-changing decision that helps you get your wealth similar to Cubana Chief Priest. Remember, every success story has a side the world never sees. The late nights, the doubts, the pressure, the moments when quitting feels easier than continuing. And for Cubana Chief Priest, behind the loud personality and the luxury lifestyle, there is a journey filled with pain, sacrifice, and decisions that could have broken him. Because before the fame, before the wealth, before the influence, he was just a young man trying to escape a life he didn't want to inherit. Working as a shoemaker wasn't just a job, it was a reminder of everything he refused to settle for. Every stitch, every shoe, every day in Aba pushed him to dream bigger, even when dreaming felt dangerous. Even when dreaming felt like far from a reality. This is why he made a decision. Leaving home wasn't easy. Starting over wasn't easy. Walking into Owerri with nothing but ambition wasn't easy. But he did it anyway, because when you have nothing to lose, this is where you have everything to gain, and that is experience. So, when he finally got close to Cubana, it wasn't a fairy tale moment. It was pressure. It was fear. It was the weight of knowing that one wrong move could close the door forever. Imagine standing in front of someone who could change your life and knowing you have to prove yourself instantly. That's not excitement. That's anxiety mixed with destiny. Because your desire with action can bring out the best in you. Inside Cubana Group, the emotional battle intensified. Every night was a test. Every crowd was a judgment. Every event was a chance to rise or fall. As you see the energy, but you don't see the exhaustion. You see the confidence, but you don't see the self-doubt. You see the fame, but you don't see the pressure of maintaining it. And when fame finally came, it wasn't just applause. It is scrutiny. It is expectations. It is the fear of losing everything he had built. Being beside Davido, trending constantly, becoming a public figure, it all came with a price. A price most people underestimate. But the most emotional moment of all was leaving Cubana Group. Walking away from the place that made him. Walking away from the man who believed in him. Walking away from the comfort that millions would cling to. That decision was bold, but also it was painful. It was lonely. It was necessary because sometimes the hardest part of success is outgrowing the place where your success began. And so you are now ready to pick what is best lesson that best fits you, your vision, and your dreams. The principle. But hold on. What if I were to tell you that after everything you've learned, such as the rise, the challenges, the turning points, the strategies, and the emotional truth, there is one final piece you must understand. One principle that sits at the center of Cubana Chief Priest's entire journey. One principle that explains not just how he made his money, but how he keeps it, multiples it, and how continue turns it into influence. And that principle is simple. Your life will only rise to the level of the decisions you are brave enough to make. Sounds simple, right? Then, you now have the opportunity to make bold decisions. That's how a major shift happens. Just like how every major shift in Cubana Chief Priest's story came from a decision. Not luck, not chance, not connections, but through decisions. He decided he didn't want to inherit the life he was born into. He decided to leave Abba. He decided to step into Owerri with nothing but ambition. He decided to position himself near Cubana. He decided to prove his value every single night. He decided to build a brand loud enough to be unforgettable. He decided to turn fame into leverage. He decided to leave Cubana Group and build his own empire. He decided to stay consistent, even when the world wasn't watching. Every decision carries out risks. Every decision carries fear. Every decision carries consequences. But also every decision also carries out opportunities. So what will you decide? Therefore, another principle you should take with you. Wealth is not built by waiting. Wealth is built by deciding. Deciding to change your environment. Deciding to prepare for opportunity. Deciding to build your identity. Deciding to monetize your attention. Deciding to own your platform. Deciding to stay consistent long after motivation fades. You look at Cubana Chief Priest today and see the results. You don't see the decisions that created those results, but you've seen them now, that you've walked through every layer of his journey. You've understood the psychology behind his rise. You've seen the blueprint. And the truth is this: your life will not change because you watch this documentary. Your life will change because of what you decide to do after watching it. You have your lessons. You have your strategies. You have your insights. You have your truth. Therefore, you now finally know the insane truth on how Cubana Chief Priest makes his money. But the other insane truth is, how will you use these lessons from Cubana Chief Priest to make your own money?